All right. So tonight I will be doing a video about Dr. Khalid Muhammad and Motown Records. So, excuse me. I want to get started with the history behind Motown Records and how it's founded and who started it. Um, and so today is the anniversary of Motown. Okay. So I'm gonna go into the history behind it. And then from there, I'm gonna do the video about Khalid Muhammad. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so that is the Motown logo, the image. This picture right here, you can barely see it, but that's Hitsville, USA. That's the original building. That's where Motown was started right there. And that looks like Martha and Valdella or the Supreme, and trying to see who the other artists are. And I think these guys are part of the Temptation. I'm not sure. Okay, but they're in front of the building called Hitsville, USA, which is still there to this day, but now it's a museum. All right, it became a museum back in 1985 because the headquarters moved to a different location. All right, here's another picture right here. All right. So if you guys can give me a second, please. Thank you. All right, I'm still here. So, anyways, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the origin of Motown Records. All right, hopefully you guys can see that. So here's the origin. I won't be on this topic for too long because I want to get to the next one. But here's the introduction. So Motown Records is an American record label owned by Universal Music. It was founded by Barry Gordon Jr. as Tamla Records on January the 12th of 1959 and incorporated as Motown Record Corporation on April the 14th, 1960. Its name, a blend of motor and town, has become a nickname for Detroit, where the label was originally headquartered. Motown played an important role in the racial integration of popular music as an African-American owned label that achieved crossover success. In 1960, Motown and its subsidiary labels include Tamla Motown. The brand used outside the U.S. were the most successful proponents of the Motown sound, a style of soul music with a mainstream pop appeal. Motown was the most successful soul music label with a net worth of $61 million. During the 1960s, Motown achieved 79 records in the top 10 of the Billboard Hit 100 between 1960 and 1969. So again, it was originally founded in 1959. Okay, that was 61 years ago. Okay. And then it goes on to say, following the event of Detroit's riots of 1967 and the loss of key songwriter and production team Holland Dozier Holland that year over pay disputes, Gordy moved Motown to Los Angeles. Motown expanded into film and television production. Okay. It was an independent company until MCA Records bought it in 1988. Polygram purchased the label from MCA in 1993, followed by MCA's successor Universal Music Group, which acquired Polygram in 1988. All right. So Motown spent much of 2000 headquartered in New York City as part of the UMG subsidiaries, the Universal Motown and Universal Motown Republic Group. From 2011 to 2014, it was part of the Island Def Jam Music Group division of Universal Music. In 2014, however, under UMG, announced the dissolution of Island Def Jam and Motown relocation back to Los Angeles to operate under the Capitol Music Group, now operating out of the Capitol Tower. In 2018, Motown was inducted in the Rhythm and Blues Music Hall of Fame in a ceremony held at the Charles H. Wright Museum. All right. So now here's the history. So the history goes, in the beginning, Barry Gordon's interest in the record business began when he opened a record store called the 3D Record Mart, a shop where he hoped to educate consumers about the beauty of jazz in Detroit, Michigan. The Gordys were an entrepreneurial family. Although the shop did not last very long, Gordy's interest in the music business did not fade. He frequented Detroit's downtown nightclubs and in the Flame Show bar he met bar manager Al Green, not the famed singer, who owned a music publishing company called Pearl Music and represented Detroit-based musician Jackie Wilson. Gordy soon became part of a group of songwriters with his sister Gwen Gordy and Billy Davis, who wrote songs for Wilson, Repeaty, which was their major hit, which appeared in November of 1957. During the next 18 months, Gordy helped to write 6 more Wilson A-side, including Lonely Teardrops, a peak popular hit in 1958. Between 1957 and 1958, Gordy wrote or produced over 100 sides for various artists, with his sibling Anna, Gwen, and Robin and other collaborators in varying combination. So it goes on to talk about how he met Smokey Robinson in 1957, who at the time was a local 17-year-old singer fronting a vocal harmony group called the Matadors. Gordy was interested in the doo-wop style that Robinson sang. In 1958, Gordy recorded the group's song Got a Job in answer to Get a Job by the Silhouettes. And released it as a single by releasing the record to a larger company outside Detroit called N Records, based in New York. The practice was common at the time for a small-time producer. Gotti Job was the first single by Robinson Group, now The Miracles. Gordy recorded a number of other records by forging a similar arrangement and most significantly with United Artists. Okay, so it goes on to talk about needing $800 to cover his end of the deal. Gordy asked his family to borrow money from a cooperative family savings account. After some debate, his family agreed, and in January 1959, Come to Me was released regionally on Gordy's new Tamala label. Gordy originally wanted to name the label Tammy Records after the hit song popularized by Debbie Reynolds from the 1957 film Tammy and the Bachelor, in which Reynolds also starred. When he found the name was already in use, Barry decided on Tamala instead. In April of 1959, Gordy and his sister Gwen founded Anna Records, which released about 24 singles between 1959 and 1960. The most popular was Barry's strong Money, That's What I Want, written by Gordy and a secretary named Janie Bradford, and produced by Gordy. Many of the songs distributed locally by Anna and Tamala Records was nationally distributed by Chess Records, sometime with Anna and Tamala imprints. Gordy's relationship with Chess fostered closer deals with Harvey Frequa, nephew of Charlie Frequa of the Ink Spots. Harley Frequa later married Gwen Gordy in 1961. Okay, so that's the history. And skipping down, it says Smokey Robinson became the vice president of the company and later named his daughter Tamala and his son Barry. Several of Gordy's family members, including his father Barry Sr., brothers Robert and George, and sister Esther, were given key roles in the company. By the middle of the decade, Gwen and Anna Gordy had joined the label in administrative position as well. Gordy's partner at the time and his wife from 1960 to 64, Renoma Lyles, also played a key role in the early days of Motown, leading the company's first session group, the Rayburn Voices, and overseeing Joe Beatty. All right, so West Grand Boulevard, that's where Hitsville is at today, and that's the original building of Motown. So also in 1959, Gordy purchased a property that would become Motown's Hitsville, USA studio. The photographic studio located in the back of the property was modified into a small recording studio, and the Gordys moved into the second floor living quarters. Within 7 years, Motown would occupy 7 additional neighboring houses. Okay. So they got Hitsville, USA, ground floor, administrative office, tape library, control room, studio 8, upper floor, Gordon Living's quarters from 1959 to 1962, artists and repertoire, 1962 to 1972. Jobade Publishing Office, 1961, all right, which deal with sale, building, collection, shipping, etc. Barry Gordon Jr. Enterprise, 1962, offices for Barry Gordon Jr. and Esther Gordy's Edward. Financial Department, Artist Personal Development, 1966, which is head Harvey Frequa, head of Artist Development and producer of stage performances. Maxine Powell, instructor in grooming, pose, and social grace for Motown artists. Maurice, vocal coach, musical director, and arranger. Charlie Atkins, house choreography and rehearsal studios. 2 houses for administrative office, 1966, sale and marketing, traveling and traffic, and mixing and mastering. ITMI, International Talent Management and Corporation Office in 1966, management. So Motown had hired over 450 employees and had gross income of $20 million by the end of 1966. Oh, it's all good. It's all good. It's cool. No problem. So, anyways, Motown has become one of the first African-American record labels to be very successful, all right, to reach the international level, to even make a crossover. So Barry Gordy had a major success as a owner of Motown Records. He has a major success, and success ran in his family. And he was able to make a crossover as a independent record label, because at that time, that's what he was before he became major. And most of his artists were African Americans, and they were mostly from the area of Detroit, okay, or in the Midwest region. A lot of his artists came from the Midwest, and they particularly came from the city of Detroit. Now, my mother, may God rest her soul, she was born in Detroit, all right? She grew up down there, and she would tell me stories how Marvin Gaye and Smokey Robinson stayed close by in the area where she grew up at. So she grew up on the west side. And at the time when she was a little girl, that was like a middle-class community. So she was telling stories how the Jackson 5 was staying up there, and Marvin Gaye was around, and what's his name? Stevie Wonder, and what's the other guy? And I just said his name, Smokey Robinson. Yeah, they all grew up over there. And plus, the Supremes, they grew up in the projects in Detroit, which is in downtown area. Forgot the name of it, but she was familiar with those individuals. You know, they were very familiar in the local community. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I do. I'm glad that I'm one of your favorite people on YouTube. Thank you. Thank you so much. That really means a lot. And you are one of my faithful subscribers, and you one of my faithful supporters. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Real talk. Thank you so much. All right, so let me go ahead and continue. Okay, so I'm just going to read a little bit right here. Detroit, 1959 and 1972. Early Tamla Motown artists included Mabel Johnson, Eddie Holland, and Mary Wells Shop Around. The Miracles' first number one R&B hit peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1960. It was Tamla's first million-selling record. On April the 14th, 1960, right, Motown and Tamla Records merged into a new company called Motown Records Corporation. A year later, the Marvelettes scored Tamla's first U.S. number 1 pop hit, Please Mr. Postman. Wait, Mr. Postman. Wait. Okay. By the mid-1960s, the company, with the help of songwriters and producers such as Robinson A&R chief William Mickey Stevenson, Brian Holland, Lamont Dozier, and Norman Whitfield, had become a major force in the music industry. Okay. So, from 1961 to 1971, Motown had 110 top 10 hits. Top artists on the Motown label during that period included the Supremes, initially included Diana Ross, the Four Tops, and the Jackson 5, while Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, and Marvelettes and the Miracle had hits on the Tamla label. The company operated several labels in addition to Tamla and Motown imprint. The third label, which Gordy named after himself, though it was originally called Miracle, featured The Temptation, The Contours, Edwin Starr, and Martha and the Vandellas. The fourth, VIP, released recording by the Vevelettes, the Spinners, the Monitors, and Chris Clark. The fifth label, Soul, featured Junior Walker and the All-Stars, Jimmy Ruffin, Shorty Long, the Originals, Gladys Knight, and the Pips. Yep. who found success before joining Motown as the Pips on BJs. Yep, they were. They were signed to that. All right. So let's go all the way down. So in 1967, Berry Gordy purchased what is now known as Motown Mansion in Detroit's Boston Edison, his historic district at his home, leaving his previous home to his sister Anna and then husband Marvin Gaye, where photos for the cover of his album What's Going On were taken. In 1968, Gordy purchased the Donovan Building on the corner of Woodward Avenue and Interstate 75 and moved Motown Detroit offices there. The Donovan Building was demolished in January of 2006 to provide parking space for Super Bowl. What year was that? Super Bowl what? Child, I ain't good with Roman numerals. Okay, hold on. Let me find out what this Roman numeral is. Roman numeral. Okay, I figured it was 40. All right. So yeah, okay. The Donovan Building was demolished in January 2006 to provide parking space for Super Bowl 40. In the same year, Gordy purchased Golden World Records and its recording studio became Studio B to Hitsville Studio A. All right. And so in the United Kingdom, Motown's record was released on previous labels at the first London, Only the Miracles Shop Around, Who's Loving You, and Ain't It Baby. Then Fontana, Please Mr. Postman by the Marvelettes was one of 4. And then Oreo American, Fingertip by Little Stevie Wonder was one of many. In 1963, Motown signed with EMI's stateside label Where Did Our Love Go by the Supremes and My God by Mary Wells were Motown's first British top 20 hits. Eventually, EMI created the Tamla Motown label. Stop in the Name of Love by the Supremes was the first Tamla Motown released in March of 1965. All right. So let me say this, the Supremes especially, they had a lot of hits. They was making they was hitting a lot of number one charts. Now remember, they were teenagers when they came out. So a lot of his artists back then, they were teenager or young adults. Okay. So when the Supremes came out, they was like 17, 18 years old. But they had a lot of number one hits for them to come out the projects. They was an international headline. They had international success. But you know how things go. Things turn sour. I mean, it turns real sour. Who ever thought the original founder of the Supremes, which was Florence Biller, a very beautiful woman, very magnificent, had a magnificent voice, but she was replaced by someone else. She was replaced by someone else. And she was overshadowed. So Diana became the head, the lead singer. And I mean, she became the lead singer to the point that they changed the name from the Supreme to Diana Ross and the Supreme. Same way with the Pips. They changed the name from the Pips to the Glass Knight and the Pips because she was the only female singer, the lead singer. So it was like all eyes on them. So you know what that means? When they make you a lead singer, that basically means that they're trying to get you a solo career. So they was trying to get her to be on solo artists. And same way with Gladys Knight. They was trying to make her the focus. So that way, when she become a solo artist, people recognize her. And that's what typically happens. The lead singer or the person that does the most singing, they get more recognition than anybody else. And because they gain more recognition, they have a greater chance of becoming solo and have a lot of solo hits. I mean, look at Destiny Child, Beyonce, same way. Beyonce was put on the forefront as the lead singer, and people focus more on Beyonce than Destiny Child. But it's funny that they didn't call it Beyonce Knows and the Destiny Child. Nah, they didn't call it that. So she became the main face. I mean, even though Kelly got a little shine here and there, you know what I'm saying? And the other two, Latavia and Latoya, and then later it was Michelle and Farrah, but then it became a trio after that. So yeah, they had, the other ones got a little shine. Kelly got a little bit more shine. You know what I'm saying? But she didn't get as much shine as Beyonce. So Beyonce was taking over. She was the face. So when she became solo, her career went skyrocketing. Her records sold like that. I mean, it kept selling, kept selling, kept selling, kept selling, kept selling. It was never a disappointment. She kept selling, selling, selling as a solo artist to the point where Destiny Child had to be disbanded afterwards because her solo career was more successful than she was as a group member. But let me go ahead and continue. I don't want to talk too much. All right. So give me a second. Give me 1 second. All right, I'm back. Okay, so now it goes down to Los Angeles. After the songwriter trio, Doja Holland left the label in 1967 over royalty payment disputes. Norman Whitfield became the company's top producer, turning out hits for The Temptation, Marvin Gaye, Gladys Knight, and the Pips, and Rare Earth. In the meantime, Berry Gordy established Motown Production, a television subsidiary which produced TV specials for Motown artists, including TCB with Diana Ross and the Supreme, and The Temptation, Diana with Diana Ross, and going back to Indiana with the Jackson 5. The company loosened its production rules, allowing some of its longtime artists the opportunity to write and produce more of their own material. This resulted in the recordings of successful and critically acclaimed albums, such as Marvin Gaye, What's Going On? And Let's Get It On, Stevie Wonder's Music of My Mind, Talking Book, and Intervisions. Okay. So let's look at the final years. So by 1998, Motown had added stars such as 702. Oh, hold on. Wait a minute. I noticed something. They didn't mention Boyz II Men on here. Hold on. Did they put Boyz II Men? Okay, I see it. Yeah. During the 1990s, Motown was home to successful recording artists such as Boyz II Men and Johnny Gill. Although the company itself remained in a state of turmoil, MCA appointed a series of executives to run the company, beginning with Barry Gordy's immediate successor, Gerald Busby. Busby quarreled with MCA, alleging that the company did not give Motown's product adequate attention or promotion. In 1991, Motown sued MCA to have its distribution deal with the company terminated and began releasing its product through Polygram. Polygram purchased Motown from Boston Ventures 3 years later. Okay. And in 1994, Busby was replaced by Andre Harrell, the late Andre Harrell, the entrepreneur behind Uptown Records, which was another successful record label. Harrell served as Motown CEO for just under 2 years, leaving the company after receiving bad publicity for being inefficient. Danny Goldberg, who ran Polygram's Mercury's record group, assumed control of Motown, and George Jackson served as president. All right. So if you remember that song, Boyz II Men, we back again. Go and tell a friend. Boyz II Men had a song called Philly to Motown. Or Motown Philly. That was the name of the song, Motown Philly. And that was back in 1989. Yeah, they've been out for some while. But anywho, okay. So now let's look at the final years. Now, by 1998, Motown had added stars such as 702, Brian McKnight, Erykah Badu. I didn't know Erykah Badu was signed to Motown record label. To its roster in December of 1998, Polygram was acquired by Seagram, and Motown was absorbed into the Universal Music Group. Seagram had purchased Motown's former parent, MCA, in 1995, and Motown was in effect reunited with many of its MCA corporate siblings. Seagram had hoped to build a media empire around Universal and started by purchasing Polygram. Universal briefly considered shuttering the label, but instead decided to restructure it. Kendar Massenberg, a producer for Erykah Badu, became the head of the label and oversaw successful recordings from Badu, McKnight, Michael McDonald, and new Motown artist India Arie. Oh, wow. Okay, wow, okay. It says Diana Ross and Smokey Robinson, Stevie Wonder, and The Temptation had remained with the label since its early days, although all except Wonder recorded for other labels for several years. All right. And then I'm going to skip down. So it relaunched in the summer of 2011. Universal Motown reverted to Motown brand after having been separated from Universal Motown Republic Group, hired Ethiopia Habitem Mariam as its senior vice president and operate under the Island Def Jam Music Group. From artists from Universal Motown were transferred to the newly revised Motown label. On January 25th, 2012, it was announced that Neo would join the Motown label both as an artist as well as the new senior vice president of A&R. Mm. On April the 1st, 2014, it was announced that Island Def Jam would no longer be running following the resignation of CEO Barry West. In a press release sent out by Universal Music Group, the label will now be reorganizing Def Jam Records, Island Records, and Motown Records as all a separate entities. Motown will then begin serving as a subsidiary of Capitol Records. In late 2018, Motown began celebrating its 60th anniversary by reissuing, numerous albums from their catalog. Motown UK launched in September 2020 under Universal UK's EMI Records, formerly Virgin EMI Records division. So we're gonna get into the sounds for a little bit. Well, you know what? Let's talk about the artist development because that's important. Let's talk about the artist development for a little bit. So the artist development. Artist development was a major part of Motown's operation instituted by Berry Gordy. The acts on the Motown label were audaciously groomed, dressed, and choreographed for live performances. Motown artists were advised that their breakthrough into the white popular keyword white popular music market made them ambassadors for other African American artists seeking broad marketing acceptance, and that they should think, act, walk, and talk like royalty so as to alter the less than dignified image commonly held of Black musician by white Americans in that era. Given that many of the talented young artists had been raised in housing projects and lacked the necessary social and dress experience, this Motown department was not only necessary, it created an elegant style of presentation long associated with the label. The artist development department specialized primarily in working with younger, less experienced performers such as Junior Walker and Marvin Gaye were exempt from artist development classes. Many of the young artists participated in an annual package tour called the Motown Review, which was popular first on the Chilean circuit and later around the world. The tours gave the younger artists a chance to hone their performance and social skills and learn from the more experienced artists. All right. So most record labels, right? Not just Motown, they felt that artist development was very important. Okay. So the record label had a particular way of how the artists should look, how the artists should present themselves, how the artists should act. So they have to act like they're just professionals. Okay. And as you can see, as from what I was reading in that paragraph, that most of them come from the inner city, the projects. So they did not have that type of structure or discipline. They didn't know how to be professional, and they were young. They were kids. So remember that they were kids. They between the ages 17 to their early 20s. Okay. So they didn't know about how do you conduct yourself when you're in the public light? How do you speak? How do you communicate? What words can you say? How to be eloquent? How to enunciate your words? How to pronounce words? It's a lot of that. So when you do interviews, especially, you got to be able to know how to communicate with the person that's interviewing you, so that way you won't look embarrassed to not only the audience, but be an embarrassment to your record label. Because remember, you're representing that label that you're a part of. All right, so let me go ahead and continue. Oops. Hold on. Am I? Okay. All right, so Motown subsidiary labels. All right, in order to avoid accusation of payola, should DJs play too many records from the original Tamla label, Gordy formed Motown Records as a second label in 1960. The two labels feature the same writers, producers, and artists. Okay, so that was very important because back then, what some record labels would do, not all of them, but some of them, what they used to do was they would use what's called payola. Payola is when a producer or an artist or even a CEO or the founder of a record label would pay the DJ to promote a song or to play a song on air. And some still do it to this day. Now it's illegal. You're not supposed to do that because what you're doing is like you're cheating. You're cheating your way in the industry. You're taking away other artists' opportunity to be able to get their music played on the radio. So if you paying the DJ under the table to play your songs over and over again, what you're doing is you're taking away the opportunity for other artists. And the reason why many of them did that at that time period because they wanted to, the more airplays, the more money they looking at, and the more promotion they getting and more recognition. So it's not only to the ears of those who are the listening audience, but it's also in the ears of those who are higher up that want to take the artists and promote them and or do a commercial or either do a or do some type of featuring or anything of that nature. So it was not just for the audience, but it was also for others in the professional field pertaining to music as well. So it gave them more opportunity to be able to hear the artists out. But yeah, payola is very illegal, and it's illegal due to the fact that you can get prosecuted for it and you can get sued. And that DJ that's getting paid under the table will lose their job. So most DJs don't really get paid a lot of money. And there are those, from what I told, they get paid millions of dollars. That's only because they have more recognition and they get a lot more endorsement, or they get more opportunity to like host events, programs, and other things of that nature. But yeah, typically speaking, DJs don't really get paid that much money, especially if it's in their first year. Like they're not gonna get paid a lot. That's how it goes. So with that being said, yes, it's illegal. It is. And I'm not surprised they still doing it to this day. And as far as I'm concerned, I still believe they doing that. But I don't think they doing it in the radio station. I think they doing it in the strip clubs because that's where, if you get especially if it's a club banger music, you're going to get your music played in the strip club. And if a lot of people's like tuning in, listening to it, that's when you're going to start earning more recognition. So yeah, it's just, yeah, it's a lot to it. Yeah, this industry is pretty dirty. It's a dirty game that people playing. It's really a dirty game. It surely is. But anyways, so that's all for Motown Records. Now I want to present another source. If you guys want to look more into the history about Motown. Okay, right. Let me go ahead and download it. All right, so here it is. Here's a book called The History of Motown by Virginia Robertson. All right. So as you can see, the table of contents: Ain't Too Proud to Bed, which was by The Temptation. Ain't No Mountain High Enough, which was by Tammy. I forgot her last name. Tammy and Marvin Gaye. Tammy Terrell and Marvin Gaye, yes. Also, Superstar, Remember How You Got Where You Are. I Second Day Emotion. Love is Like a Heat Wave. What's Going On? Marvin Gaye. Money, That's What I Want. So yeah, it goes into all the history. As you can see, there's Barry Gordon right there. There's Barry Gordon. All right. So if you want to learn more, you can read this book. It's called The History of Motown. All right. You got the Jackson Five. That's Stevie Wonder. That looks like the Supreme. I'm not sure. Or that's what's her name? Marva and the Vandellas. And that's Barry Gordy. All right. So that's it. That's it for right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little break real fast, but I'm going to come back and do Khalid Muhammad. All right, so please just give me a second. I'm going to log off of here. Well, just give me about maybe 15, 20 minutes. I'm about to log off and then I'm about to come back on and do Khalid Muhammad. All right. So let me go ahead and again, let me do this. All right. All right, you guys, I'll be right back. So tune in about next 15, 20 minutes. All right. Thank you.